Here we go. Thank you all for watching. Competing in Cornfields. I'm here with Sean Lindgren. We're at Wahoo Martial Arts. Just got done training. How's it feel coming off submission victory?
It feels pretty good. Going into it, I think a lot of people had the expectation coming off of a knockout debut of doing another knockout. Um, I was at some points going for that, but Tyler did a great job of varying the distance a lot, not letting my blitzes get in there, things like that, and turning it into more of his game of that clinch style, strength fighting. And so I was very, very happy that I was able to survive his attacks and then look for my opportunity to get the finish.
Right. And so that was basically like your second camp for Tyler, right?
Right. So after my first fight with Chris Baum, we had camp very shortly after to train for Tyler that got interrupted from an injury. And so we kind of just restarted camp, 6 or so months later, for Tyler again. So it was good for him to get more experience in there. He had, I think, at least one more fight since my injury, so he got to get a little bit more cage experience in there, and made it a really, really tough, really good fight.
Yeah, no, that was great. So yeah, we're here at Wahoo Martial Arts and just got done training. Can you tell us a little bit about Wahoo Martial Arts and what you all have going on?
Yeah, Wahoo Martial Arts has a kind of an interesting story. It was started because the person who actually owns this building, his daughter, wanted to do karate. And so there's not really much karate around, but especially in small town Wahoo. So luckily, there's a police officer, Tim Hannon, who was training up in Fremont at Rosenbach Warrior Training Branches, and he had a teaching certificate from there. And so the building owner actually got him to start teaching classes about, it might be 12 years now, back in like 2009. And so Rosenbach system has been taught here ever since. That's how I got into the system here at Wahoo. A couple friends, a couple buddies in high school were training RWTB down here, and I saw some of the cool ninja style techniques they're doing, some of the submission locks, and I thought that looks pretty interesting. I might have to check that out. And about four or so years ago, um, the person who was teaching at the time was just too busy to keep going, especially with his kids and things like that. So he asked me to kind of take over running the operations. So I started teaching the RWTB, and then got Jacob Kiefer very shortly after to come down and do Warrior MMA, his MMA style of training. And then also had Darren Sievers in here doing all of his various styles. He's trained quite extensively in a lot of different arts and competed in those arts.
Yeah, yeah, I remember going to a seminar of his, I believe.
Yeah, that was a
That was good.
kickboxing seminar. I
Yeah,
think it was like, what, 3 years ago or
yeah,
something like that, 3 years ago. And yeah, that was a good seminar.
that was. Yeah. Okay, so you've been doing this since 2009, or
So
like,
the school's been here since 2009-ish. I started middle of 2011. Started training.
and then as far as your athletic background, you just did like other sports growing up and all that.
Yeah, so my parents had me doing all the sports, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Anything we could do. Did you use soccer, all that type of stuff, baseball. As I started getting older, it started getting more to like three main ones. So in middle school, I was doing football, basketball, track, wrestling, and baseball. And and I actually dislocated my elbow wrestling in eighth grade, and so that was the last time I've officially done the folk style wrestling. Um, Competed in it. But in high school, did football in the fall, then basketball for winter, track for spring, and then did some Legion baseball for a couple years in the summer.
Hmm. Yeah. I guess for those who don't know, we actually played against each other in high school,
Yep.
and then on the same team at Nebraska Wesleyan, and been training, you know, pretty much since.
Yeah, a little history lesson there.
Yeah.
They completely destroyed us at home, and it kind of gave us the little boost we needed to beat Wahoo Newman for the first time in 15 years, which was kind of cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think you were nose guard, and I was quarterback. So we didn't know each other, but we were facing off against each other, right across.
Yeah. 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 No, that's good stuff.
Yep, and then we both played football at Wesleyan. So then I ended up switching to D line, so quarterback to D line, and so Clint had to teach me how to play D line. So we had some good battles against them O linemen.
Yeah.
There was always a little rivalry going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Starting little fights and stuff.
For sure, those are good times.
Yeah, football camp back in the day, the 2-a-day camps. Dude, people were getting after it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody's tired, a little bit agitated,
Yeah.
probably chafing. You
Yeah,
know?
100%.
Yeah.
Just woke up from a nap because you're trying to get that quick rest in between practices. You know.
Yeah, that's funny. Have you? Was there any fighters that you remember seeing, like maybe whenever before you had trained MMA or anything like that, that influenced you or maybe still do?
I didn't see or watch much MMA fighting before I started doing martial arts. But when I did start doing RWTB, I would see a lot of people doing that style, and you always had the McDojo types who are like, my techniques are too lethal for the cage type of
Yeah.
stuff, and so after spending a lot of time on YouTube trying to figure out what actually works, it seemed like the standard MMA training is a really good base to build off of, and then start adding in your stylistic stuff. So I had a lot of people that I looked up to that were either training in RWTB or just people I knew from Wahoo. So like there was like Micah Petrowski. He has a really nice blitz setup, charging 1-2 that I utilize once in a while. But just all the guys in that gym, Brian Monahan, Anthony Lott, were some really good guys that when I started doing MMA were just whooping me. So it was like, all right, I respect this. They got some things to show me, and I think you learn the most through being humbled. And so MMA does a better job of humbling you than another style where maybe you're just doing self-defense techniques, as we're seeing certain YouTube channels blow up with these self-defense techniques
that are totally fake.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, these self-defense techniques where they're making the memes, when they try it, they die.
Yeah.
Those are pretty cool. But, and then locally in the community, Corey Davis has been a huge inspiration just to see him competing at such a high level, just coming from Wahoo and just getting after it,
And he's in Bellator.
He did one Bellator fight. I remember him doing a Bellator fight. I actually went to that fight. Strangest things happened. He literally just slipped and like hit his tailbone weird and like stunned him. And then he took like a shot while he's on the ground. And then they called it like he got knocked. They called him a knockout. And he was moving so well. And his stand-up was looking so good. I was so pumped. And then it was just some weird thing where they got on the cage, were kind of tussling, and he just kind of slipped. So I don't know if that's on YouTube or not, but if it is, check it out, because that was Corey was looking really good in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just last year went down to Florida, I think it was in Florida, and had a professional title fight opportunity, and he unfortunately got taken out in that second round. But yeah, he's been a huge inspiration. More UFC style people, I really like Anderson Anderson Silva's style. He comes from, he's done a little bit of training with like the Jeet Kune Do, Jun Fan, that Bruce Lee style of training where he's taking in all sorts of stuff and figuring out something that looks cool, then he tries it, and then he trains it hard enough that it actually works for him. So I like a lot of his finishes, even just his recent boxing match with I think it was Tio Ortiz. He had a lot of little bobs and weaves that were getting him, and just came over with a hook and flattened him in one hit, and that's kind of that style that I really enjoy. Anderson Silva brings.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Tiger Style at all?
I am not.
Neither am I. But have you heard of it? Oh. I don't know. I just I don't know. I've heard of it a few times. And then like the Wu-Tang Clan, like that rap group, they say Tiger Style a lot. I think it's some kind of martial art.
Interesting. Is it like a kung fu where it's like tiger claw, like that?
Probably. Probably. I know nothing about it. I was just shot in the dark if you did.
Nope, I don't either.
Yeah.
So something to look into. Maybe the viewers can put something in the comments, like a link or something, if you guys know anything about it.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any rhyme or okay? So, whenever it comes to strength and conditioning, does it matters between like fight camp and then just like your off season, right?
Oh, hugely, for sure. So right now, just starting the off season, so going into more of hypertrophy training, trying to build up some more muscle. Because when you do hardcore cardio and conditioning pre-fight, you are going to lose some muscle mass. It's inevitable. Trying to maintain as much as I can. So during camp, I'm doing very, very high protein. Basically, I'm just trying to eat as much protein as I can, whether it be turkey, chicken, steak, yogurt, protein bars, protein drinks, all that type of stuff. Just trying to maintain as much of that muscle building ability as possible. But now that's off season, I can go into full hypertrophy training and go ahead and start to regain some of the muscle loss from last camp, trying to put on a little bit more than I even had previous to camp. That way when you do the cut, you can have a little bit more muscle mass. And I think people have noticed that my last two fights, even though we're weighing the same, my opponents have looked quite a bit larger than I have in the cage. And so that's one advantage I want to take away, is being outsized during the fight.
Would there be a chance that you would go to 170?
That has been an idea, but I don't want to entertain it yet. I just want to see how much muscle I can build and put on, and see how I perform and feel, and see if I can maintain that quickness and movement with a little bit more muscle mass.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So, if things go well, how would you lay out your future plans?
I like to take it one step at a time. It is a lot of effort. I'm not 20 years old anymore. I just turned 30, so I do feel a little bit of the strain of going through fight camp and that heart of conditioning and those frequency of workouts. So, but as long as each camp that I've done, it seems to get easier. So potentially, my body's just getting more accustomed to that type of work, and so if that's the case, I'll just keep going at it, see where it leads. Take one opponent at a time, one step at a time. Learn from each opponent, learn from all of my training partners, and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. You have any sponsors or people, places, or things to shout out?
Yeah, for sure. I got a very, very large list, I would say, of sponsors, very local. I don't have that list on me, but there's people like Wheelhouse, Vernco Roofing, where I actually work, has been a huge sponsor. Almost the whole company comes to my fights. They've been at both fights. They've been the loudest people there. So that's been a huge support. people in the local community, uh, landscape rejuvenations. Their kids actually come here and train RWTB, and will probably be in the MMA class as they get older. They're excellent supporters. Yeah, the whole community has been big on that. Trutting the Cattle has been a supporter as well, and so, but yeah, we'll post a full list of my sponsors maybe in the comments or something like that, so you guys can see that.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else?
Yeah. So for during camp, yeah, I bring down the hypertrophy and do a little bit more strength, and also body weight routine. Coach Kiefer's got a pretty intense body weight routine, mixing up jump squats, lunges, push-ups, ab work, and things like that. And then kind of the circuit we did today, where you're doing sprint sprawls, bear crawls, jump roping, shadow boxing, hitting the bag, throwing the bag,
Just
all that
functional
type of
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then camp. The great thing about local MMA, small town MMA, is your camp is really designed around you, your opponent, and your needs. Big gyms are awesome. You got a lot of people there. You got like UFC fighters, you got pros. But then if you've got 5 people fighting over the next month, your camps are going to be very broad and not as specific. Whereas here, if we have 1, maybe 2 fighters kind of getting ready for a fight, then all that energy is kind of going to training that specific motions to lead up to that fight. And I think we saw that a lot with both of my fights, especially Tyler's fight, where Tyler had a very, very, very high pressure, very intense the entire time. And that's kind of what we trained for, instead of training that external long-range boxing and that type of thing. We were really, really pushing hard that aggressive fighting style, and so I think that helped really prepare me to take that on. Because yeah, Tyler was no joke. He hits hard. Tyler hits hard, and he wrestles hard, and he brought it, and that was a pretty intense fight.
Yeah.
Everyone gives Tyler that first round. Tyler beat me that first round, so hands down, he controlled the entire pacing, the entire fight that first round, and had a lot of my fans very, very scared and suspense. So it was good for them to get a little bit more excitement in it. So, and then shout out to Tyler too, because I think Tyler's going to have a very, very good career in whatever he wants to do with his MMA, especially up there training now at Premier. I think they're going to tighten up some things, because he's already got that hard-nosed aggression, pressure, pure athleticism type thing. They're going to work on him on whatever he needs to really, really be successful and start a win streak going. I think you'll see a win streak from Tyler pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right. Well, what about you, Clint? You got any martial arts plans coming up? Maybe some grappling tournaments?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I would like to. I would like to actually be like super motivated for one. I don't know. Like sometimes it's tough,
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe the June 5th one.
Oh yeah, let's
Yeah.
shout that out.
For like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think it's at Lincoln Christian High School on June 5th, gi and no gi. I think it's called like the Nebraska Jiu-Jitsu Tournament.
Was it tournament or championship?
Or championship, yeah.
Something like that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Lincoln BJJ, like Conan's awesome. And I don't know who's all completely coming up with these ideas, but whatever ideas they're coming up with, they are killing it. Yeah, doing tournaments, that is the coolest thing ever. Because you can get more people, especially from local people going to Lincoln Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, who might not want to travel all the way to Omaha you know,
Mhm.
parents are busy, they might not be able to take their kids up there. So I'm very excited to see the things Lincoln Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is doing for the Jiu-Jitsu community. They are definitely the premier place. And I've gone up there and trained, and they have a great MMA program as well, and I love the guys up there too.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, whether competing or not, perhaps. But you know, I just gotta be like super up for it, you know.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. You got anything else?
No, I think unless you got any more questions, but yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh yeah,
It's
for
a
sure.
really cool
Thank
show.
you.
Basically, from what I've seen, it's probably the most popular podcast for local MMA and just the local sport community and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
What you're building here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll keep things rolling and you know, keep it all good.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks a lot, Sean.
Yep. Thank you.